voted on by the whole group of 15.
Right.
All right. And again, 8 of those are picks by the governor. So in theory, if the governor picks people who are on the same team, things should be easy.
Well, but there is also one caveat. They have to get at least one vote to go forward of the non-majority party. So there is some balance in the commission. It's not a complete rubber stamp in the nominating commission. There is some vetting. There is, some attempt to keep it from being a complete ramrod through of whoever happens to be the party in power.
All right.
There are some limited, very, very limited protections against that.
Now knowing all this background information, which is enough to put you to sleep right there, if somebody makes it to the Supreme Court, the governor says, all right, there are 3 guys. I have to choose one of you.
Right.
What happens if he chooses none of them? Can he reject all of them? Does he have to choose one?
Well, it's never been tested, to my knowledge, that the governor said, you know what, no, send me a new list of 3. I believe that is at least theoretically possible. And someone told me the other day that they thought that had occurred once. But constitutionally, what happens if the governor does not make a pick, and he's got 15 days to make a pick once the commission gives him those 3 names, then the Chief Justice gets to make the pick from the 3. It is an unbelievably incestuous system, John.
No wonder the Chief Justice has steered policy in this state for the last decade, and
several decades in this case.
And power to her. I mean, she's done a great job, and if you lean that way, she's your man. All right, bring it back to this. I'm assuming, of course, he asks, knowing the answer, that afterwards at least there's a confirmation, as there is with a Supreme Court Justice of the United States, that the state Senate gets the ability to say yes or no with advice and consent of the Senate. So that at least happens, right?
Not a whit, John. The Colorado legislature has 0 role in the entire process. Zip, zilch, nada, nothing.
All right.
They do not advise and consent. They do not confirm.
The governor chooses out of these 3.
Right.
So to recap this whole thing, the governor has an immense amount of sway over who's going to be brought up in this group of 3.
Right.
Secondly, the sitting Supreme Court justice, that is the Chief Justice, has the second most amount of power, it seems as though, bringing up this choice of 3 people that he can choose from.
Right.
And other than that, now she's not elected. So in other words, there's only one elected guy here who has any say whatsoever into the makeup of our state Supreme Court.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
But there is a check and balance system. And when this was put forward, they said, these direct elections where 2 guys would go head to head and they'd have nasty ads and people would give them money in their campaigns, that was dirty, and there was possibilities of conflict of interest and corruption.
Right.
We're going to have a retention system.
Right.
And tell me how much of this I've got right. So every 2 years, the Supreme Court justice that the governor puts in, 2 years after that, goes up for a retention vote. That is, the people of Colorado get to play Caesar. They get to go thumbs up or thumbs down, and they get to say, yes, you can stay in that job. No, you have to leave.
Right. That first term is a 2-year term.
And then after that, it's 10 years. They stay there for a decade before there's any sort of check and balance.
You got it.
All right. Let's bring it to 2010. The stars align, and this fall people will be voting on retention for 3 of the 7 justices on the Supreme Court. Explain how the retention system works. Tell me, is there a competition? It's just an up or down vote.
Just an up or down vote. Like you said, Colorado citizens get to play Caesar. We have a choice. Appearing on the ballot, it'll be posed as a question. Should Justice Michael Bender, for example, one of the 3, be retained in office? Yes or no? Obviously, I think that the vote of the people should be no, because Michael Bender has been serially violating the Constitution and trampling the constitutional rights of Colorado citizens for the last 12 years.
All right. Bring it back to the procedure before we get into the editorial part of this.
Right.
So we have the right, we have the ability.
We have the constitutional
ability to toss these guys out.
Yep.
We have to vote no.
Right.
Most people don't even vote on this. that it's farther down on the ballot. So what we call the undervote.
Right.
So everybody votes for president, and everybody votes for the United States Senate guy and the governor and usually your congressman, and then it starts falling off when it gets to the House and Senate here in Colorado. And then it falls off even more when it's your Park and Recs department or your city council or your school board or the RTD. And then you get to these guys and you've never heard of any of them.
Right.
So tell me, out of the 40-some years that we've had this retention system, as a percentage, how many justices of the Supreme Court have lost retention? I'm assuming it's about 50-50.
0.
I'm assuming it's about 60-40.
0.
70-30, something like that. That 30% of them get tossed off.
0.
So you're telling me 40-some years of this system, not a single Supreme Court justice has ever gotten the thumbs down from the voters and needed to be replaced.
In fact, they've never been recommended for the thumbs down. We'll talk about that process later. But at the Colorado Supreme Court level, not one single Supreme Court justice has ever been voted out by the people, despite their right to do so. Not one Colorado Court of Appeals judge has ever been voted out by the people of the state, despite their right to do so. On all other levels, all of the other judges, a total of 15 times, this year is up to 16 times, they've been recommended to not be retained in office.
You say recommended. I get the blue book.
About
the blue book. The blue book's a wonderful thing. The blue book comes and it's got the definitions and text and analysis of all the measures that are on the statewide ballot, and it has recommendations on how we should vote, thumbs up or thumbs down, on the Supreme Court justices and the state appeals court and the other state courts. I glanced through these, and out of the 3 justices on the Supreme Court, they are all recommended vote yes. Who makes that recommendation? Is it the Legislative Council that puts together the Blue Book?
No.
Who?
It's another commission. And
a different commission.
A different commission. We had the nominating commission. That's the upfront check and balance, or should be the upfront check and balance. At least it's a vetting process. That's that 15-member commission. On the back end, it's a 10-member commission, and again, just focusing on the state level, there are also 23 other commissions for all the different judicial districts around the state, and that's going to, you're right, it's going to bore people. But at the Supreme Court level, 10 people decide whether or not to recommend that the Supreme Court justices and the Court of Appeals judges, it's the same commission, get to stay in office for another 10 or 8 years, respectively.
All right. Who chooses the recommendation committee?
Another interesting bit of foxes watching hen houses. Again, the governor appoints some of them. The Chief Justice has a hand.
The Chief Justice.
The Chief Justice appoints the people who review the performance of the Chief Justice. Right. Yeah, has a hand in that.
Hang on. I'm a little slow on this. So out of the Performance Review Commission that recommends whether we should give a thumbs up or thumbs down, you got the governor, and you've got the Chief Justice. So the Chief Justice's appointments get to decide whether or not the Chief Justice should be recommended up or down.
Right.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to pick my own job reviewer, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
it's all right. It gives me an opportunity to stay in office at a nice salary for 10 years.
Why is it that this year we've managed to have the stars align, and originally 4 out of 7 Supreme Court justices were up for retention? Mary Malarkey decided, for reasons either of health or just out of interest or because she's feeling the pressure, that she's not running, so now it's only 3 out of 7. How did we get that 3 out of 7 justices are up for retention?
Just happened based on the timing of their appointments and the 10-year cycle after that. It just happened to, it's a good year for it all to come together.
All right. And it's also a good year because this is the Tea Party year. This is the year that people are fed up with this. You're fed up with the rulings from the Supreme Court. I've been on the losing end of a few of those rulings myself, and I've seen that the Supreme Court here has a national reputation of being one of the most partisan Supreme Courts of any state Supreme Court in the country. That's a nice thing for me to say. People aren't going to believe me. So tell me, why is it that you're so concerned about getting these guys tossed out? Well, give me the rulings that bother you so much. What have they done to deserve this wrath?
There are quite a few things they've done to deserve it, and we don't have enough time on the show to cover all the things they've done. I try to focus on the core constitutional cases. And again, my motivation for this, I'm not an attorney. I have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express a couple of times, so I'm a pretty smart guy. But I'm not an attorney. My background is I'm a soldier. And I swore an oath when I went in the Army to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the state of Colorado. I'm a Colorado Army National Guardsman. And I take that oath very seriously. And these judges, these Supreme Court justices, also swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution.